us into the ecosphere of our own imaginations?
I don't really need to do an intro because we cut it anyway, pretty consistently.
Well, in that case, let me introduce us with a song.
No, it's okay.
Come
I'll do the
with
intro.
me and you'll
Um,
see in a world of pure
Stop. I really don't
imagination.
like this.
Do you know that song?
Yeah, I do.
What is it?
Isn't that Willy Wonka stuff?
That is that Willy Wonka stuff.
That Willy Wonka weed?
The Willy Wonka times. But yeah,
Let's
what do
talk
you got for us today?
Man, I don't know. What do you think about doing a Wednesday night session where we don't have any topics and we literally just kind of talk and with random stuff like we do on the phone and no no structure at all to what we're talking about?
Is that not what we're doing right now?
No, there's structure to it. We try to stay on topic and then move on once we've covered something and be a little bit, we're a little bit mindful of the structure of the show, you know.
Are we though? Are we really?
I think so.
Speak
Yeah.
for yourself.
No, we definitely try to hit the topics and then not get too far off on tangents.
Good
Um,
morning, Bird.
Good morning, people.
I mean, isn't this what do we have topics for today?
I got one that I'd like to talk about.
I've got one too.
Okay.
I went ahead and titled it the topic that I wanted to talk about. So Bird and
And
good morning, Joe. Joe and
but
Bird know what the topic is, but you don't.
you said it's my week to lead
It is, yeah.
the show, but you've already got a topic and the show's titled about your topic.
Well, you got to put something there.
Okay.
So what do you got? Let's get it started.
Well, so I was editing, episode 2. We talked about authenticity and what does it even mean? Is it even a meaningful word? And I think we reached the conclusion we always do about anything, which is that it all boils down to like, yeah, it's a concept and doesn't really exist. You're already what you are, and that's kind of the end of the story. But that's like a boring conclusion to reach every time.
Which
Because
one are you
like
talking about? Which one?
episode the when we're talking about authenticity as a myth.
Oh, the one you released yesterday?
Yeah.
Okay.
Um, but like, yeah, I mean, we can drill down in anything and declare it unreal. It's not hard to do. But I kind of wanted to go back into because we ended up titling the thing, being who you are is being authentic actually possible or something. And we kind of talked about authenticity and what it is or seems to be, and then came to the conclusion that yeah, you already are who you are, and even in your search for finding out who you are, that's authentic because that's genuinely where you're at and what you're doing, and is an honest expression of who you are at that time. Um, but I wanted to see if we could go into it in a more practical way and actually look at, um, like, kind of really explore in more detail what does it mean to be who you are, and how do you actually be yourself? Like, like what does it actually look like, practically to, be who you are and to
Great, let's
live
do
that
it. I
way.
got it.
Okay. Does that make sense? Like,
It
we
makes
can just you're
landed
already
perfectly.
okay.
And let me just say what's going on. In every throughout the day, what's happening is you have all these thoughts about what you think is going on. You've got your belief systems that are operating within you that you may or may not actually believe, but they're there. And you're trying to navigate and you're trying to make sense of yourself and a path or a way in which you can experience the world. And so what you're saying is there is there a way to navigate through all the external phenomena or external things that are occurring, the internal things that are occurring, feelings, thoughts, beliefs, Is there a way to actually hone in on who you really are and be that in the world? Is that what you're saying?
I'd say what you described is part of it. You know, part of being who you are is first recognizing all of the stuff going on inside you. Like before you can, even get to the question of how do I navigate, the internals and externals, you have to first become aware of that, So like,
But I mean, that's the that's what you want to talk about, the mechanics of actually doing this. Did I repeat the topic correctly though? Is do you want to talk about how to practically enter into a state of authenticity for yourself? Is that what you want to talk about? Is that the topic?
um, yeah, so if like that's kind of how you hear it, and then yeah, I think that's part of it. But yeah, the question is like, what does it actually mean to be yourself, and how do you do that, practically speaking?
That's the
Without
topic.
yeah, without going into, oh, you're already yourself and you're already authentic. Like, I think we can be more practical than that. But I think there are actually things you can do to seemingly come more into who you are. And I guess, like you were saying, kind of exit. Like, yeah, we've got who you're supposed to be is taught to us as we grow up by parents and teachers and probably TV, movies more than anything. So we've got this idea of who I'm supposed to be. E- Maybe you're even given an idea of who you want to be. Like you actually think you want to be something that you don't actually want to be because you were told that's a good thing to be. Like I want to be, um, well, okay, this is weird. There was this idea you have to be something when you grow up, right? Um, there, and that actually gave me a lot of anxiety because as a kid, I took everything an adult or authority said literally. Um, and so I thought you literally, once you grew up, you transformed into something. Like like a caterpillar transforms into a butterfly. So it scared me because I didn't want to transform into something. That so like literally everything scared me as a kid. And it's all because anyway, the grown-ups use these dumb, simplified metaphors because they think kids are idiots and can't actually understand anything. So I hear these simplified versions of things and take that to be literal, and it's just confusing. Um, but anyway, so like I decided, okay, I got to be something. I'm going to be a duck, um, and that uh, just because you get to hang out on the water or something. I don't know, but it seemed like the least threatening thing I could turn into. Um, but anyway, so yeah,
Not a fireman, not the president,
no,
a duck.
a duck. Um, so yeah, we're taught you have to, you know, yeah, what do you want to be when you grow up, right? You get asked that a million times or whatever. Like it's um the question is never, or the thought is never, you get to be yourself now and when you grow up. It's you've got to go be something, implying that it's something other than what you already are. You have to pick a role you're going to consciously walk into and take on. So that's just like a kind of, and that's going to mean different things to different people. I took that a certain way. Everyone's going to take that a different way. And so, but that's going to program your thinking to a degree about yourself and the world and who you are. That's subtly influencing the whole structure of thought when it comes to me, myself, and what I am. That's just one example of kind of this mental conditioning or programming. Um,
I mean,
so yeah,
you can't escape any of that. The thought itself is structured in concepts and language. So it's like even with the beginnings of a 2, 3 year old, you're already by the time you get to trying to imagine yourself as a duck or a firefighter when you grow up, you're already conditioned by outside forces.
yeah, yeah. And so if your thoughts are conditioned that way, then yeah, like the way you think. Anyway, so that's an example of, um, just some of the ways we're taught to think about ourselves, and something we can become aware of um, and then
The way
maybe real.
well,
Huh?
the way I see it is ever since I can remember consciousness, there's been seeing, and there's been concepts, thoughts, words, language, parental figures, authority figures, schools, environments. There's been a whole field of play emerging and unfolding before my very own eyes, and there's been this awareness of it. And the question is, how can I be and how can I live as myself, the truest version of myself, in a world that's completely conditioned with all these games and rules in it?
So
Social
the
rules, unspoken social rules, ancestral, parental.
you have so one of those questions would be first, how do I become aware of this stuff in the first place? Because not everyone's even aware to that degree to even be able to ask that question. And you'd have to have some kind of inkling of who you really are apart from the character you've been playing up to this point.
You don't.
Well, you said you recognize that there's like seeing and consciousness and things unfolding before you.
That's just what's happening. I'm not saying it's recognized.
Um, you didn't say you recognized that from like early ages that there was just seeing and stuff like that.
I mean, I'm recognizing it now looking backwards, but that's just what was happening.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. But people, I think most people wouldn't even recognize that's what has been happening and was happening. So like,
But that's my whole point is if we're going to talk about the mechanics of authenticity and the mechanics of being yourself, that what I just described, since that is what's happening, whether we're aware of it or not, what seems to happen from this viewpoint is thoughts occur or ideas occur that make me feel stilted or anxious or uncertain or nervous or afraid about living and being what I feel like. Whatever impulse or interest is occurring naturally within myself is stilted because of all the concepts and ideas that I'm birthed into, that I can't actually be myself. Or it doesn't feel like I can enter into a state of being myself.
what do you mean by enter into a state of being yourself?
When you're able to feel like you can say, move, do, it's almost a state of freedom. You can say, feel, move, and do without resistance.
So what about the person who is doing those things, but yet they're just playing a character that they were conditioned to be and have never actually investigated any of these things, and someone who's playing their assigned role perfectly without resistance, yet they've never really learned anything about who they actually are. Are they really being themselves?
We can't know. I mean, that's outside the realm of our experience, but I would imagine that person would start to experience some form of pain or discomfort in their life that would be an inciting incident for them to begin to look at, why am I not happy, or why am I feeling trapped? Why do I feel stuck? Or if they don't even ask those questions why, they may just start feeling stuck in drinking or using drugs or going to the gym 100 times or sleeping with a bunch of people.
Well, not necessarily if their character is not coming up with against resistance in the world. If someone's playing their assigned role well and their life is just pretty smooth, why would they ever come up against any kind of friction?
Then that's what I'm saying. There's nothing to say about it. There's nothing. They already are actualized as their character, as their role, as themselves.
But
It's already happened.
Are they actualized as themselves, or just a role they were assigned?
I would say they're actualized as themselves. Like, this is the way I perceive this topic is it's up to the person listening and you and me to make sense of this for ourselves, because we've got the curse or the blessing of being aware that there are things beyond what my mind and my perspective is telling me. Some people don't. Some people live in their perspectives their whole lives, and then they go to sleep at the end in the arms of Jesus.
So it might be safe to say that this whole topic, probably anything we talk about in the entire show, is not for those people. We're already I think we're probably already making the assumption, or not making the assumption, but what we're doing is, probably necessarily geared towards people who have asked that question to some degree already. You know, if someone is like happy with the way things are, has never questioned who they are or the way things are, I doubt there would be any real interest in any of the things we're talking about. So they probably wouldn't be here hearing this in the first place, right?
Whoa, did you hear that?
Yeah.
She
The
freaked
noise
out.
canceled most of it.
Oh, good. It hurt me. It was a sharp yelp. No, you don't get to decide who this is for and who it isn't for.
No, I just said I'm making an assumption, whether or not it's true. I'm guessing like someone who's totally content with the way things are and the way things have been would not be interested in investigating anything that might destabilize that.
See, that's where I disagree. Like Peter says that stuff too, and there's this whole theory that Anthony DeMello's book Awareness, that people won't read it because it's too painful to read. Nobody wants to wake up. I don't see it that way. I think people can hang with thoughts that are entertaining and of interest, and if they're not of interest, they move on.
That's what I'm saying. People would have already moved on from this very quickly.
Well, but then
hanging around if this, unless
yes, because I'm telling the whole point of this show. I mean, I don't know. Can I talk about the behind the scenes stuff on the air, or do you want to stay on topic?
Go ahead.
I would be curious to hear what Joe and Bird think, and I can catch up on what they're saying here. But my experience of this show is it's the it's the toggle between me and you. Like what we talk about is irrelevant. I think the interesting part about the show is the way you are and the way that I deal or you deal with me. I think that's what's interesting to me.
Perhaps true, but I'm telling you, people run away from the things we're talking about actively.
Show me the evidence of that. Run away from it?
You've never met people who are actively turned off by, I meet these people all the time. As soon as you get into kind of any of the territory we're talking about, that's nonsense, that's philosophy, total 180.
It's because of the energy in which you are projecting it, or the energy in which I am projecting it. Because I'm telling you.
Me. No, I'm in groups of people. I'm in groups where it's not me speaking.
Imagine you talking about this stuff the same way you're talking about it in those groups, but switch it with Lord of the Rings. You're talking about Lothlorien, Galadriel. Don't you understand? Sauron was an elf, and now he's not an elf. He's a Lord, Dark Lord now. People would be like, "Cool, bro."
There wouldn't be a visceral reaction because we're not questioning the ground of someone's being by talking about the nature of Gandalf.
But if they're in an environment or in a space where they're not interested in that, if I did a lecture about veterinary medicine at a 12-step meeting, people would get upset. If you're talking about deep states of meditation in a religious environment, people might get upset. That's not what they're there for. They want the stories from the Bible. They want the stories from their own. They want their own, testimonies.
Yeah. So, but Tracy doesn't like a lot of this stuff either, and it's not because of the way I bring it up or project it. I talk to her about this stuff way differently. There's certain topics she doesn't like to think about because to her it's like unnecessarily getting into something that, like she said, like, I'm fine with my current understanding. I don't like trying to get in deeper than that.
Sure, yeah. Imagine somebody trying to talk to you about Stoicism and how we have to think about the fact that we're going to die every day. If that's not what you feel like thinking about today, you're not going to want to think about it. But it isn't, for me, it's an important a smelling salt. Like it's part of my something that happens. But for other people, it's not.
Yeah, I'm gonna stand behind what I said. So if someone is happy or seems to be happy with who they are and the way things are, the last thing they want to talk about is something that challenges the foundation of who they think they are or the way they see things.
And
Nope.
I'm saying you just can't know that.
I'm saying I think I know that pretty confidently.
And then I would say that you'll continue to have that experience because you know that.
And you'll continue to have the experience of you don't know by taking the stance you don't know. You will have no confirming evidence, and you'll have evidence that seems to support it could be anything by taking the viewpoint that you don't know.
I seem to know this right now, though.
What?
I seem to know this.
And this is what?
Whatever. Let me catch up on this. We got some good stuff here. Let me catch up for you. Okay, here's Bird. Bird is confused. Bird says, based on the topic that we're discussing, authenticity and I'm kind of going back, but growth is out of the question. If I'm to understand Reed right, the way he's describing the authentic self cannot and or should never be allowed to change in any willful manner.
Well, okay, yeah, in a way, yes. I'm not sure if I was I don't think I was making that point intentionally, but like in a way, yeah. I think there's a core part of, at least for me, I find a core part of who I am is way below or beneath anything that's changing or shifting on the surface. I think there's at least a large piece, an integral piece of me that is the same today as it was 10 years ago, as it was 30 years ago. And I remember seeing that very distinctly one time. I was at an AA clubhouse in Atlanta called the Triangle Club, Alcoholics Anonymous. So I started going there when I was like 16 years old. And I was there around the age of like, it was like on and off ever since I lived in Atlanta. And I was there maybe when I was like 30 or something, like once again. And I was sitting on this bench looking into the parking lot at night. And I had kind of had this flash of insight where I saw that like I'd been sitting in that same spot 10 years earlier, looking at the same thing. And I recognized that it was the same thing looking. And even though I was 10 years older, was sober, totally different, life is totally different, had changed dramatically, it was the same thing sitting there and looking. There's something in me, truly me, that hadn't changed at all and doesn't change. I suspect most people can find that, but it's like if you filter out beliefs and preferences, likes and dislikes, all those things seem to change. Um, what's seeing all those things, what's seeing the beliefs, what's experiencing the world, this kind of experiential field, that doesn't change ever. And I think perhaps without a recognition of that, you're never really going to be authentic because you're not recognizing a huge component of what you are. So I think to a degree, an authentic person recognizes all pieces of themselves, especially those that are superficial and changing, and recognizes this stable core underneath that where I am still me, regardless of the clothes I wear, the things I believe, the places I live, and the things I do. What is, you know, What is that? Is that not who you really are? The thing that's not changing? Are you a different being than you were 20 years ago? That speaks to, I mean, are you, are you? And what is this you that's was you at 5, 15, and 25 and 55? There's a you there that's not changing. So in a way, yes, the authentic self does not change, but the shell around that grows and changes all the time. But I wouldn't say the thing that's growing is me, really. It's more, I mean, I'd say literally it's just a conceptual framework that's changing and growing, not me. So in a way, people don't, who you are doesn't change at all. Your mind.
So what you just described, I think, which was beautiful, by the way. Thank you for that. I think what you described is self-realization. I would say the authentic journey, the path towards authenticity is unifying the character as it appears externally in the world in the form of your body, your experiences, your memories, your thoughts, your feelings, orienting and aligning those in relationship with the ineffable, which is what you described, that or the consciousness or the space through which and from which we all are seeing. Being able to really, yeah, being able to your character be an agent of that, a sharp agent of that based on your own interest, traits, and attractions. And I would say people are doing that without self-realization. I think you just brought self-realization into it.
Yeah, I don't think self-realization or whatever that means a million different things, but there's no kind of special enlightenment or realization or whatever that's necessary for being yourself. Like, um, I think really core to the whole thing is operating with some sense of awareness and being able to identify what is you, what's not you, if there's a distinction to be made at all. And so yeah, but yeah, on the other hand, I think,
But everything is you. Like you can't escape the authentic representation of what's occurring in this moment. But
yeah, I'm trying to steer
whoever's
from that.
what
I'm trying to steer away from the kind of conclusion that uh, you already are you, like, and I'm intentionally trying to make it a little bit more dualistic and practical. So maybe it's more geared for the character.
but it is dualistic because there's a person behind your eyes. You have the seeing, you have the screen on which everything's appearing, but then like immediately afterwards there's a read appearing. Like you're gonna have this character unless you become Ramana Maharshi, who I would even propose probably still had a character.
Yeah,
The ego doesn't completely disappear unless it's gone. And if
no,
and from what I could tell, it disappears in flow states where you're in the river or flow of life itself as an acting agent of the totality, which is already what's occurring. It's just whether you're aware of it or not.
yeah, like you don't use your hand for everything. The hand is an inappropriate tool to use for every action, just like the ego is an inappropriate tool for everything.
So I did this experiment during COVID. Also, good morning, Ennis, and also good morning, Godfrey. Glad to see you on here. I did this experiment where I used to be my roommate used to really bother me back in the day during COVID. The guy I lived with just really ticked me off all the time. He was giving me unsolicited advice. He was suggesting things that he thought I should be doing. And I remember I woke up one morning and I was reading a shitload of Vernon Howard at the time, Mystic Path to Cosmic Power. And I said, today I'm going to act as if everything in the world knows what I need to do more than I do. I'm going to assume that every thought that's occurring outside of me is just as intimate and personal and correct as the ones that are occurring internally. And I had like the best day ever.
And then you stop doing it.
No, now that's kind of how I live. I live this way now. Like Melissa's been the most help ever because she says things, and this has been a meditative practice through the course of our relationship, I would say, because I call it the antimatter. Antimatter appears. She'll say something that might be true, and I'm like, no. I call that antimatter. I would say 99% of the time she's correct. And I can give examples too.
Tracy's the same way for me. Like I constantly praise her for being wise and myself for being foolish because she just like I can't all I can see all the only thoughts I get are the ones this particular brain produces unless I'm engaging others. And she can see things in ways that I can't, and the way she sees things is generally much more practical and helpful than the way I see things. I need that external input, but like, okay, I wanted this to be a little bit more practical, and of course, I don't think it's been helpful or practical at all, any of the stuff we've talked about. But you were talking about reading Vernon Howard every day, yeah. So like, for your journey of being yourself, finding out who you are, learning how to live, what are some of the stages and things you've done? Because it's not you, the way you move and live now is a result of an evolving process over time of continued self-discovery. So there was a time when you were reading Vernon Howard every day, and that was doing something for you. That was giving you information that you didn't have previously. That was leading to new actions.
Now everything does that for me. Everything, every conversation, every moment. It doesn't need to come from a book. I can't say the one thing for sure is that like I would say 99% of the time, it does not come from me. It doesn't come from up here. That's for sure. I feel called to or incited into action, into creation. And that happens on its own. But if I'm thinking about something, I'm generally out of touch with what reality is trying to show me.
Why can't reality be trying to show you things through your thoughts?
Well, there's a difference between thought and intuitive action. And I'm not
And
saying that reality can't show me things through thought, but thought itself is limited. And the only real practical they're practical use, it's just what's occurring. I mean,
wait,
sometimes they grip me, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they take me somewhere, sometimes they don't.
so if you dismiss your own thoughts because of their limited nature, why do you listen to the thoughts of others as expressed in a book or verbally?
It's not about discarding thought. It's like I guess the best way to describe this is even my own attention is a thought. So even my own attention as focusing on your sunglasses right now is a thought occurring in reality. My what seems to be occurring from here is there's a witnessing of all these things occurring on their own at all times. And when I can be in that space and I can see it, or not even see it, when I forget it, it's like forgetting and seeing. That's what seems to be happening all the time. And then life occurs.
So for you, the journey has been in part to a place of recognizing something more regularly. And what is it when you say seeing? What do you mean? Because the seeing seems to wake you up out of a sleepiness of some kind. Can you tell us more about that?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. I don't
There's a
know.
reason you prefer seeing to not seeing.
Yeah, I mean, because, well, this is, I guess it's just when ideas about what I should be doing or what needs to be done moves from the realm of practical to the agency of my personhood very quickly and crystallizes very quickly for me. So being attentive to that process in me is of utmost importance because when I am aware of it, it dissolves it and I'm able to experience longer stretches of peace, contentment, and serenity when ideas about who or what this is, or who or what I am, or what needs to be done are not crystallized.
So
That's the best way to describe it.
why does that need to be dissolved and not crystallized?
It does,
Why does
nothing needs to happen. That's nothing. This is just what seems to be happening.
but there's a preference for dissolving thoughts about the character rather than letting them kind of drag you into believing you're this mental state.
It's not a preference. It's an awareness of what's occurring. If you put your hand on the stove enough times, you're going to stop putting your hand on the stove. That's all it is.
So you're saying it's based on a fear reaction to
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying
uh,
that when I start to take my ideas about what's going on and what this is, who I am, what you are seriously, I get burned. That's what
so
I'm saying.
you're avoiding an unpleasant
No,
circumstance.
there's no one here actively avoiding anything. This is just what seems to be happening.
The nervous system is avoiding an unpleasant state by avoiding
It's
thoughts.
it's you could put it as a form of enlightened self-interest.
What is the self that's interested?
This, whatever the agent of my own life is expressing itself as. So like the non-dual awareness, which you described so eloquently about your story sitting out of the 12-step meeting, is not the end of the story. You're still Reed sitting on a bench outside of an AA meeting. I'm still Adam with a son and a wife and a partner and a job. Like it's an amalgamation or an honoring of all aspects of one's own being. Along with, like the Adam, it will experience fear. Adam had his, like, if you look at my gums, I had gum surgery over the weekend. Adam was shell shocked all weekend and completely sweating out of his eyes when he's watching the surgeon do what he's doing, like completely uncomfortable. Like it's just what's happening. But like I will say this is the first time I've gone to a dentist appointment or a orthodontist or surgery appointment where there was no fear leading up to it because I didn't have thoughts about it. A thought would halfway appear, and then what would normally in the past be nervousness and anxiety, the thought couldn't form quick enough for those emotions to form. So I didn't have any feelings about the appointment until, not even while I was there. It wasn't until the guy started talking to me, trying to convince me not to take the laughing gas. And I was like, well, wait a second. I don't want to feel pain. I hadn't thought about it until then.
Right. So yeah, what's the thought just on its own disappears? Because you're talking about seeing things so that they dissolve or not dissolve.
That's just what seems to happen. Like Joe and Bird and I, I've been sharing on the Discord. I've been sharing stream of consciousness. Remember, I was struggling with when I'd smoked those cigarettes, and I've been sharing it, and sharing it and bringing things to awareness seems to dissolve the things. So like when you become aware of a character trait that you inhabit, and you're aware of it, and then it starts adjusting itself, and you end up growing beyond it or past it by honestly examining it and being honest.
Your intention is not for anything to happen by examining it.
No, none at all. It's just examining for the sake of examination.
But has that always been the case? This used to be a practice intentionally designed to make you feel better, correct?
I mean, when I saw the way, I'm going to think way, way, way back when, but when I saw the effect that it had when I first got sober, yeah, it became like all I wanted to do all the time. That's the reason I ever started publishing shit on the internet. I was like, I'm just going to be what I share in meetings. I'm just going to do it publicly for everyone to read and hear and watch and listen to, because it's providing so much freedom and joy in my own life. Then it
So
becomes a problem.
yeah, no, but then it just, it becomes a habit and your nervous system automatically does it because it prefers that state.
Right. But like, once again, awareness of this stuff is what dissolves it. So I'm saying this looking backwards because I've become aware of it and it's been dissolved. It's a non-issue anymore. But like I would say, if you're at the very beginning, nobody wants to actually share or be transparent about what's going. It's uncomfortable. Like,
So I mean, as the
what are
search for
people going to think? Like, What?
Is the search for ourselves really just a search for a preferable state of being?
I think that's just what's like I use the word enlightened self-interest. I think that's just what we all are. That's why the woman runs into the house to save her child. But if it was another person's child, it wouldn't happen so quickly. Like we're already programmed for that. So it's just accepting it and like I guess
It's,
acknowledging it, and I would even say like honoring it.
so authenticity has, well, I don't know what the fuck authenticity is. We can just forget that word at this point. So being who you are consciously, uh, maybe to some degree involves being aware of the fact that you're programmed to act and do and speak in certain ways, and accepting that and embracing that rather than resisting or trying to change it.
Let me catch up on the chat here. Um,
I
Bird,
just, any
what?
idea what we're talking about?
Yeah, I'm gonna catch you up because I can see it. You're not seeing it. Bird, the author is Vernon Howard. He wrote The Mystic Path to Cosmic Power. Uh, reality doesn't show you things because otherwise there wouldn't be flat earthers. Show you things through thoughts. And then Ines says reality has no personal relationships. It doesn't try to show you anything. Even we are not personalities. Let's take that one in a second. Hold that. I'm going to repeat that one. That's a good one. And then Joe says, I wish I knew what would make Reed feel okay with whatever he is grappling with.
What were we talking about when he said that?
Whatever, I don't know. What have you been grappling with anything? Has anything been difficult for you to digest?
To digest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure lots of things. I mean, I'm actively working through stuff all the time. Um, my focus lately is trying to like concretely address, um, you know, chronic state of chronic anxiety and tension that's been present for a long time. Um, Instead of hoping it just goes away or trying to bypass it spiritually. So I don't know if, okay, I mean, grappling in the sense, when there's suffering or resistance, then it definitely feels like grappling. Um, but I mean, the worst part of anything is wanting that thing to not be happening. I don't, um, barring extreme examples, I think in our maybe our average daily life, the worst thing to experience is not wanting to experience something. Is the worst thing to experience is not wanting to experience what's happening.
So yeah, it's bad enough that a non-preferable experience is occurring. It's worse when you don't want it to happen or when you're thinking about it.
Yeah, when you're saying I don't want this to happen, you're resisting it or fighting something. That's the suffering. But like, um, yeah, you got like, a headache or something, big whoop. But like, if you really don't want to have a headache, the headache's 10 times worse.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Like every time. Anxiety is one thing, but oh, when will this anxiety end? There's a whole nother thing.
That's interesting. Yeah. Let's go back to NS. Ennis. Reality has no personal relationships. It doesn't try to show you anything. Even we are not personalities.
Okay, reality is reality. There's no personal relationship because there's no separate reality for reality to be in a relationship with. But in that sense, reality itself is the most intimate personal relationship possible because we're in communion with ourselves when we recognize reality is here and we are it.
Well said. I don't even have to say anything. That's pretty well spoken. It's also the most intimate thing you'll ever know.
Yes, no, this is the greatest personal relationship ever. Especially like when you recognize the body as a part of yourself, suddenly you have a friend rather than this baggage that needs to be spiritually bypassed.
It's Snow White in the woods, like singing with all the birds, like intimately.
Yeah,
Like there's all these cardinals in my backyard that
but
I think there's a
yeah,
cardinal that's been following me for a decade, but yeah.
like isn't that how we want to experience life, where we are in intimate relationship with what's going on around us, rather than feeling like we're separate or that there's no relationship to what's happening? Where like what's happening is alien or we're alien in relation to it. That's a terrible feeling.
Yeah, I hated that feeling, man.
But I think reality shows us stuff all the time. Like the, you know, while there is one, the one that appears as many, there seems to be differentiation and individuality, regardless of whether or not that's ultimately the truth. Um, there's reality seems to be differentiated and communicating with itself. I feel like I'm shown things all the time. Maybe that's the pattern seeking brain, and confirmation bias, but I consistently feel like I'm shown the right thing at the right time. Specifically, like my practice of being myself is trying to take direction from what I call spirit, um, or but like big ass spirit. Um, but I will feel led to a particular book at a particular time that's been on my shelf for 3 years. Pick it up, flip to wherever I feel led to flip to. I'll read something. It pertains exactly to what I've been thinking about or experiencing that day or week, and it provides like the next step in whatever. There's a growth trajectory. We're not growing in random directions. There's absolutely stuff to be revealed. People, we're not. There's a trajectory of growth, but that happens all the time for me. It's the weirdest thing. I can't deny that or dismiss it.
That doesn't happen for me anymore.
Maybe you're not looking for it.
No,
I, I,
I don't want I don't I'm not interested in it. Like that
I'm,
like
yeah, I consciously try to align myself with this greater direction because this is the thing that's showed up and saved my life multiple times, very explicitly. And so I want to be following that around. I want to be following around the thing that changed my life and saved me from a fucking being a cocaine and cough syrup addict in Los Angeles, worshiping demons and shit. Like something appeared and changed me, and I've been following that ever since to varying degrees.
yeah, I like everything you shared, and I like NS's comment. Yeah, it's I remember I used to experience synchronicities a good bit, and I like that I don't so much anymore.
So what I found is they will go away if you're not actively seeking alignment with a greater power.
Well, I mean,
They
that's why
come
I'm
back.
kind of on NS's tip here because there's no one here actively seeking anything. There's seeking and there's activity from like I was describing ideas that I think I want, but I don't like I just described like I guess what seems to be occurring is I'm not interested in um, being anything other than what I am or what this is. That's like my main preference.
Yeah,
I
but
don't like getting caught up in goals and ambitions. I like visualizing and setting them and then letting them go, but I don't know.
yeah, but seeking direction from a power isn't getting caught up in goals and ambitions. That allows you to be exactly who you are. Because what else would it guide you to be?
So you can't I don't believe you can actively seek guidance from a power unless you're actively meditating, unless you're actively aware of where you are as a person. That's the only real form of prayer I know of that actually works for me is just being aware of where I am in the show, where
Yeah,
this character is in the show.
yeah, but you can be aware of whatever you want, but if there's not an alignment with looking for direction from something as well, you're not going to get it. unless it really wants your attention for some reason.
Yeah, but like that's life itself seems to know. I don't. I have no freaking clue. A matter of fact, everything in my life is better when I don't know. But life seems to. I just don't anthropomorphize it or think it's something. It's not something that appears outside of this.
It
It
doesn't
just
have to
is
be
what.
anthropomorphized as a person or
Right, but like there's been moments where I've hit my knees and been like, I need help here. That was an active expression of my character dying. It was a humbling experience.
yeah. What happened?
It
Did you get help?
life was doing it to itself for itself, but there's no reason for it.
Well, that's your explanation of it now. At the time, there was definitely a character. You hit your knees, asked for help, and something changed, did it not?
Yeah, because this thing recognized the limits of its own abilities to
Now
create a preferable experience.
you're talking about the limits of your thoughts, yet you're using your thought to tell the story about what
The whole body, not just thoughts, the whole thing.
this is your story right now about how this all works. About
What?
life knows how to live. You hit your knees because it's life itself crying out the light. That's all your retrospective story added to it.
Oh
That's
yeah, yeah, yeah.
so you're saying you don't follow your mind, yet you're actively believing your own framing right now.
No, 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 no. I don't believe anything I just said. Hold on,
So
let me hit the gym camera.
I prefer to follow something rather than run around not believing anything. Like you've got a mind that's trying to destroy your life, but you're just going to trust that it's not in charge because you think you're not following it.
The thing that worries me is when you have an idea of a thing that's trying to help your life. That is more concerning to me.
It's just based on evidence and observation. It's consistently proven itself over and over to be helping me. It's not an
Let's.
idea, it's an observation. It's a fact, it's evidence based. It's not just faith as some people. I don't have faith that there's something like I've witnessed, noticed, I've walked away from it, gotten in alignment with it. I've seen the results before and after, doing it, not doing it. I've done the research, I've done the footwork. The results are in. We've got the conclusions, folks. It's trying to help me.
What if you're just creating it?
Doesn't matter because it's working.
It doesn't matter if it's imagined and it's
It
you.
doesn't matter what the mechanism is. Why would that matter?
Oh, I don't know.
Would you stop doing it like if you drove a car because you believed fairies were powering it, would you stop driving it if you found out it was an engine? No. The car gets you where you need to go. You're going to keep driving it.
And it says AI simulates personality and our brain simulates personality too. We are just organic AI that takes the simulated personality as real. AI knows it is simulating, but we don't.
Yeah, that was actually one of the side topics I wanted to bring up today. What can AI show us about personality or personhood? Just because AI uses pronouns for which is frustrating, but it says I, me, and then if you didn't know it was AI, you'd think you're talking to a person. I think the brain does the same thing, like you said. Just because it uses pronouns doesn't mean there's actually a person that it's referring to. The person is like an emergent phenomenon based on the misuse of language.
Bird says, not sure I understand what is meant by we are not personalities part. Someone expand on that question mark. And then Joe and Bird, say, in regards to the imaginative power that you've created or that is created or the relationship that you have with your power.
Yeah, I have not created it.
The fairies powering your car though. But you keep telling people that fairies are powering your car, though. That's what Bird said. And then Joe says nonsense.
Yeah, I'm just observing that it seems to be something that doesn't come from me, and it knows things that couldn't, don't, or shouldn't know. It seems to be able to lead me to circumstances that are beyond my ability to plan, that involve other people. It's just way deeper than self-imagining. But it's all available if you're interested in following it and exploring it. If you decide you're not interested, you're not going to see it. It's happening all around us. In a way, you can be a part of it. It's there. Just because you don't see it doesn't mean it's not there. But if you're looking for it, you'll find it. I'd say you're missing out on an integral part of yourself if you're not participating with it.
With life?
Depends on what you mean by life.
Well, I mean, everything's a mystery. No one knows what's going to happen next.
Okay.
Okay. Joe says no. AI personality is nonsense. Yeah.
I mean, the AI doesn't. Yeah, the AI has a personality. Like ChatGPT talks a certain way, it responds a certain way, it lies a certain way. It's it has it hallucinates. It has delusions.
It's just like us.
It's exactly like us. We're the same, but we have a personality. We're not a personality. Right? That's the difference.
We have a personality. We're not a personality.
Personality is part of our body's interface with society.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I mean, it's just the habits and propensities that come out in language, action, interaction. Otherwise, every body would be indistinguishable.
Did we solve the authenticity thing? Are we? Do we
No,
go to
I
my
don't.
topic now?
No, I don't think we talked about a single thing that was actually practical, or like, I don't think we got to the question at all.
Well, there. What do you? What did we miss? What are we missing? Let's
What's
see.
like, how do you become aware? How do you develop awareness? How do you find out
Yeah,
about
but
yourself?
you're the one that thinks that's part of like the part of this process is awareness.
That hasn't been part of your process?
Right, but I thought we were talking
Yes or no?
about.
That's been a part of your process up to this point. You started doing inventory, right? You did stuff that helped you
Dude,
become aware. You
I did.
filtered stuff. You examined all this shit.
Right, but that I don't know if that's the is that this what we're talking about? That like
Has
I
that
thought we were
not led you
talking,
to where you are right now, which you feel is a more
but it's no
yeah,
different than what has led Joe and Bird to where we are right now. And NS, like we've all arrived here right now. Like, what does it matter whether I did inventory or not?
because that's a part about finding out who you are and discarding what is maybe handed to you or given to you or is not really
Well,
part of you.
I thought we were talking about entering a space of the individual entering a space of authenticity for themselves. You already described who we really are sitting on that porch outside of that meeting. That's a given. We already know that. I thought we were
Yeah.
talking about
Yeah, I don't want to
moving
talk
into
about
a.
that.
I thought you were talking about moving into alignment and actualizing your authentic individuality in relationship to that, or as
Yeah.
that, with that.
Yeah, for me, like awareness, inventory, and learning about myself and how my mind works has been integral to that. I would assume that you would need to develop that to some degree in order to
Yeah,
be more in alignment with what you really are. And what you really are shines out when the debris, the habits and belief systems you've been programmed with by other people can kind of fall off a little bit. Then you can start like I can operate in a different way. I'm not governed by these habits I picked up from watching my mom when I was growing up, right? That's how she interacts with the world, is criticizing everything. And then my brain starts doing that too because it observed it growing up. But that's not who I am. That's like a hat that was permanently affixed to my head. With awareness and examination, I can realize, oh, wait, this isn't actually part of my body. Someone just sewed it to me when I was a baby. I can take this off. It's painful at first, but now I'm a little bit closer to who I actually am in that sense. And more so like as a character moving and operating in the world, like, at base, there's like a clear seeing that never changes. But like I said, I want to get away from that because I don't think that's practical or really necessarily means anything other than it's just recognizing that's a part of the equation.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm curious to know. I'd be curious to know. I it seems like awareness is part of the equation. It's kind of necessary if you're interested in actualizing your potential as an individual, moving and playing with reality. It's yeah, I think it might be. I think it might be. Um, yeah, there needs to be a, because what we're really talking about is self mastery. And in a lot of ways, it's sharpening the ability for you to create preferable experiences for yourself and others. That like on a landscape of bad versus good, and a life where it could go anywhere along that landscape, the most good for myself and others seems to be a reasonable aim.
Well, so it's through awareness that you are the way you are right now. And the first, so like we move towards what seems to be good and away from what seems to be bad. Your nervous system has adjusted it to just automatically share because it dissolves what it doesn't like and creates a preferable state. That's only through awareness that that was able to happen. You became aware that this practice was at some point helpful. It became habit, and now it's automatic. Through awareness of thought, you were able to even start seeing thoughts either dissolve or crystallize. Without awareness, you'd be trapped in the same bullshit you were experiencing 10 or 20 years ago.
Yeah, yeah, I would. I think there's some truth in that because eventually, at some point, enough pain gets created where a person wakes up. There's no other choice. Like it hurts so much that you're gonna change.
Right.
And the only way to really, I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know. I've met people that are sober and well because they got pregnant while they were using and then stopped using and got well because they had a child. But there was no, I wouldn't necessarily say they were aware people.
Say they're not an addict. If you just stop because of a life event or circumstance that kind of jolts you up, that's not an addict. That's just someone who's temporarily chemically dependent.
Okay. Well, that cleared that one up for me. Let me go over this. Um, NS. Reed's evidence is an interpretation of his own experiences. Objective facts should apply to everyone else. 20,000
Why?
children. What?
Why?
Why what?
Why would objective facts apply? I am suggesting that it does. You're just not looking.
Wait. You're suggesting what does?
You're saying objective facts should apply to everyone else. I'm saying they do, but you're not looking.
What does?
Whatever he was referring to, which I think I know what he was referring to.
What's he? Well, enlighten us. What's he?
My experience with a guiding or leading principle.
And you're saying that applies to everyone?
Absolutely. You just not everyone's looking for it or open to it or wants it. I'm telling you, look for yourself. Go find it and you'll see.
Look for yourself. Go find it and you'll see.
If you don't want it, you won't find it. Well, actually, sometimes it'll show up regardless of whether you want it. But
What is it? What is it that shows up? I think that's what he's curious. That's what I'm curious about.
so that's what if it hasn't shown up, then there's no. I mean, that's I don't know what to tell you. But it's just like listening to Rupert Spira tell you that you're consciousness or whatever, and that like suggesting that that's your true nature too. I mean, it's absurd in a way, but um, it's just like when I say that like there's a clear there's a part of you that's the same throughout your whole life that has something to do with clear awareness or whatever. Like I don't know that for you because I'm not inside your brain, but I don't think we'd find it inside your brain anyway necessarily. But I'm making the assumption that we're not radically different neurologically, psychologically, or physiologically. Um, it's but it's like people would deny that um, there's people that don't even know about awareness. I would be surprised if you asked them if they're aware or not. Um, just, consciousness is a really vague, weird term. Some people seem to know it very well, others not at all. But it seems to be if you start looking for it, then maybe you start becoming more aware of it. But I don't know.
Um, I think we're caught up on chat. Bird's looking for the fairies that drive his vehicle.
Good. Yes, that is the practical takeaway. To start looking for the fairies under the car hood.
Can you find them? And when you find them, do they disappear instantly? It's like you're in the secret garden, and it's like you know there's gremlins behind that bush, but you go look. The moment you look, they disappear. Bird is not looking for the fairies. I meant the thing Reed and Ennis were referring to are the fairies. Yeah. So yeah, the
well,
best I could tell.
Do you want to find it? Does he actually want to find it?
Well, the best I could tell is Reed has a framework through which he operates. Ennis has a framework through which he operates and sees, and they're different than each other's.
No,
That's all I could tell.
I'm saying it's a real phenomenon, but the framework you view it through can definitely change. Many people call it different things and have different experiences with it, but I think the phenomenon or reality of it is the same.
Okay, so what did the dude say? That's just like your opinion, man. That's what I just said. Like you have a framework or conceptualization through which you're viewing this, same as Ennis. You both have different ways of viewing this. Whatever it is you guys are talking about, which well, Bird's talking about fairies over here. I don't.
I'm not sure that Ennis is viewing or affirming what I'm saying through a different lens. I think it was a denial.
Seems like you're acting as a representative for a godhead type figure, like a power that seems personal to you, and Ennis is saying that that's not real.
Yeah, and so like the way I frame it is one thing, but so what I like to say is like there's something, you can connect with it, and it has, I mean, it's bigger than anything, and it can definitely positively lead and guide someone, and change someone in ways that would otherwise be impossible. Call it what you want. The mechanism of action can be however you want to describe it. I don't think it really matters. But there's something there. It's not a framework that like this is. You can engage. I'm saying go find out for yourself. If you're open to this, you can go try to engage with this thing and see for yourself. But only if you're genuinely interested in it. And then use whatever framework you want. That'll be the proof when it does show up, but you have a different way of explaining it. That's just proof there is something.
Vernon Howard in The Mystic Path to Cosmic Power refers to what I think Reed is describing as the supermind. That there's this, well, and I would say like I don't have a way. I don't like objectifying things as outside the realm of our actual experience and actual reality. I just don't like doing it. That's just my uh, personal flair. But I will say the reason why I don't have to think so much is there seems to be some super intelligence that knows way more about what should happen than I do. I wouldn't put a name to it, or I wouldn't say that it's something anybody could find or not find. It just seems to be what's occurring.
So like I think there's a difference between, saying there's a super intelligence and then just saying that other people are making decisions for you in lieu of you making your own.
No, it's about seeing. So when people give me advice or guidance and I am instantly revolted by it, that's something to look at. Why are my most trusted people in my life, why am I upset that they're giving me guidance? What is that? That's all I'm
Well,
saying.
difference between, being resistant to guidance and then seeing that that guidance isn't something you should follow.
The problem is I know what's best. I know what's best. When it's I, me, mine, I know what needs to happen. If I have to say that, I don't know what needs to happen. If I'm doing something and something is happening and it's just happening, I do know. But when I
Yeah,
have
but
to say I
not
know, and this is,
not just happening for no reason. It's happening because you started doing something. There was a decision at some level made. So just because now it's an action, it isn't this magic thing that's just happening and must be correct.
no, no, no.
Like it's
There's
the
no
result
correct or there's
you
no
do it.
correct or incorrect in this worldview. There's just what's happening. There's just being.
Well,
And
there's definitely an aversion to the source of it being your mind versus something else.
because there's this thing that lives behind our eyes that thinks it knows. It thinks it knows what's going on and it'll frame it or project it in a way that makes sense to itself and it will trap us. But if I
Um,
recognize I don't know anything and I'm open and aware to what's actually occurring, I can see everything is occurring on its own. No,
but
there's no will or agency at all.
why do you think it's not still directing the show?
What do you mean? It's
Why do you
not
think
still
that's not?
directing the show.
Yeah, why do you think it?
There's no show to direct.
But you just said there's something in your mind that will trap you and or whatever.
Yeah, I would say that, like, to go back to the point of this conversation, is somehow figuring out a way to orient and align this personhood or this individual agency with reality itself to where you can be authentic and you can feel freedom and growth and creativity and joy and serenity and peace as an agent, as an individual representation of the whole. That process, that's a life process.
You're saying that has something to do with not following your mind.
All I'm saying is the only thing that really is noticeable is when there's resistance. And then and then I ask myself, what is it that's resisting? Why is there resistance?
Yeah,
What is this?
is the resistance because the ego doesn't like it, or is the resistance because genuinely it's sensed that that's bad advice and shouldn't be followed?
There's you have to have there has to be some level of discernment. So like
Yes.
I can give two examples. With Melissa, experience has shown me that she's mostly right. With you, when you give me advice, you're mostly wrong.
So I'm not talking about listening to experience. I'm talking about a feeling where you sense that that's not the direction you should step in. Just because someone's telling you to do this, you're not, because if it's based on experience, you're querying memory, applying a logical process to it. Therefore, the mind is the discerner. There's got to be something else in you that's able to say, no, I recognize this is not true.
So the mind is also creating the responses as well. And let me explain this, because when I go to Melissa with something and I open up or share something and she responds to it, she's not thinking about how to help me. She's just sharing her honest thoughts in response to the material that I'm giving her. When I have gone to you in the past and I have just, here's where I'm at, here's what I'm going through, and you've given me just your response, it has shaped me immensely and brought me into deeper states of awareness and being. It's only when you're trying to guide or trying to give advice that it doesn't work.
Now, does it not work because you basically completely deny it immediately?
It's
I
the
mean, you basically shut it down right away. Of course it can't work.
yeah, there's something to the yeah, there's something to reflecting the truth versus thinking you know what's best for someone. There's a difference between the two. And then it's up to me, or it's up to the person who's attempting to navigate or understand themselves or grow or actualize or authenticize or whatever to discern that.
So I'm saying, how do you discern that without using the mind you're trying to avoid using?
I think it's like an organ, like a muscle. I think it's just what's happening. I think it just happens. And we burn our hand on the stove and we get enough data or information and adjustments get made, and over time it just develops.
So I'm suggesting if you don't know the answer to that, then it's just another level of the mind making that decision on a quieter level. How do you know you're not still following the mind just because you're not actively thinking?
Wow. That's a good point.
It's the huge plot hole here to, to your
Yeah.
story.
Yeah. That's a good point. Bird is lost.
I'd I'd be surprised if anyone's not been lost the whole time. I
Yeah.
This is a weird episode.
This is kind of what you suggested we do Wednesday nights, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. No, I started this like it's like I wanted this to be practical. I wanted this to be everything but what we talked about, honestly. It's like I experienced this lead. Okay, if in an AA meeting, there's a topic leader. There's like you do some readings there's like a discussion leader and a meeting chair sitting at the front of the room. They start the meeting. And then the topic leader is the person who'll bring the topic to start the discussion. A has like kind of a round robin or raise your hand and jump in discussion, which is theoretically helpful. And my I would do my absolute best as topic leader to bring a topic that was practical and experience based. And I would say, like, I would be like, what is your experience with being led by God? What does that actually look like in your life? I would be super explicit. What does it actually look like in your life? What's your actual experience?
I know what happens
What do
next.
you do on a daily basis? And every fucking time, well, everyone starts sharing. You know what I think God is this, or like I heard this, or like this is what I think about God. Everyone just starts sharing their fucking opinion about what God is. No one. I'm like, fuck you. What is your experience? It's not helpful when we just go jack off about what we think about shit.
Which
So
is
we
kind of what this show is.
Yeah, so like I want it to be practical, and it's just
I don't think it can be. I think it's a show. I don't think it can be practical. Hopefully people, I mean, hopefully I know when I listen to stuff like I actually when I've listened to our stuff, I don't know if I'm getting anything from it practically speaking other than just I don't know what I'm getting. I don't know. I know when I listen to other people's stuff, it gives me, I learn some things I didn't know, but I think that's all it really is.
Does anyone in our audience learn anything from our show? Please raise your hand. Has anyone
Joseph,
walked away better?
yeah. And if honestly, I don't think I want to make a show that's supposed to make people better.
I don't like, no, it would be a whole can of worms to try to do that on purpose, but like it would be, I don't know. I like the idea of at least having, like, I want to explore things in a practical way, but like, it just seems, because you said it too, like, it would be good if we had talked about our actual like experiences with stuff, and we barely even do that.
Well, I think Joe says a sense of community, and that's what he gets from the show, and that's what I like about it. I like seeing what Bird and NS think. I like all of us actively engaging with this material to make sense of it for ourselves. That's entertaining to me. Like I'm entertained by reading the Discord. I'm entertaining by seeing what other people think about this stuff. You know what I mean? That's what
Yeah.
I think. That's what I think it's about. It's like a group self discovery or something.
Yeah, but did anyone actually discover anything?
I did you? Did you
Um,
discover anything?
did I discover? No, because we didn't actually get into what I wanted to talk about. Like, I wanted to discover what it actually means to try to.
I saw something for myself today.
I feel like there was, yeah, you saw something new, and that was
Not
good.
not so, well. I mean, I just this is something that I haven't. I mean, I just see. It's not. I just wasn't aware of how less of an impact my thinking has on my day to day experience, and I didn't realize it till we were talking about it, and it's so great. Like I just, it's nice not to be afraid of going to a surgery appointment. It's just nice, you know. I never had that experience before.
Yeah, so the question is, would you trade a little bit more anxiety to have a little bit more agency?
No, I don't want. The agency that occurs is God given, and I can't think of another better word to say it. If anything ever works in my life, I don't want to say it's because I did it. I want to say it's because it happened, and I was lucky enough to be present for it.
Yeah, so let me rephrase that. A little bit more anxiety for the ability to more actively decide what you're going to get instead of just everything just happening and being surprised or just accepting what is as it comes, having a little bit of direction over what it is that comes.
Yeah, anybody can. Yeah, I would say anybody has that ability. Anybody can do that. If anybody wants to sit down and decide, I'm going to write out a vision for my life, here's the things that I think I want, and I'm going to offer it to the gods. That's a helpful, positive. My experience has been a very productive exercise.
Yeah, I think, okay, now that we're at the end of the show, we finally started getting to something practical. Like what you just said. Like,
So,
thank God you've said something concrete. Been trying to get that to happen the entire show.
let me catch up on this chat before we got a few minutes
You've
left.
done lots of stuff. You have a lot of experience with trying to learn how to live authentically, but you just wouldn't share it. I was trying to avoid going straight to you already are what you are.
All the stuff though didn't work. Like all the stuff that I thought I was
Can't say
doing
that
didn't
because
work.
now you're here where you are. You cannot say that anything up to this point didn't work
But
because here you are.
but so is Bird, so is Ennis, so is Joe. It's
Right.
equalized. It doesn't matter what I did or didn't do.
I know, and that's what I was curious about is like the practical reality of what we do.
Right,
What
but
is it actually like?
you're trying to put an assumption that I know something or I'm experiencing something that Joe, Ennis, and Bird aren't, or you aren't.
No,
I'm
you don't
experiencing something that
know.
you're not.
You know something about yourself, and what is it you've actually do or have done to embody that or grow into that?
Right, and I guess my whole point why it was difficult to answer the question is I know nothing about myself, and it is that unknowing that allows me to experience myself in a different way.
So what is the process that leads up to the point where you really embody not knowing anything and therefore being more yourself?
Like I said, stove, hand on a stove, the resistance that comes up, the pain, like I recognize that my thoughts about going into surgery my entire life have created suffering. Being aware of that dissolved it. When thoughts tried to occur last week, they didn't happen. I mean, it's just burning your hand on the stove. I thought I explained it pretty well.
So yeah, okay, if that's the takeaway, then yeah, it's awareness. And how one develops awareness would be then the practical thing that should be talked about. Because that's you know, I've done things that have helped develop awareness in myself. I didn't just wake up and decide to be aware. Heard about it from Anthony DeMello like 8 years ago. Um, and then becoming aware, it's like, how do you know, well, when I said like by 35 years is enough time to gather all the data you need to learn how to live well. Like, you know, we can recognize patterns, but without awareness, without self-examination, without going back and looking at the record, without honestly facing what I think and have been thinking, without honestly facing how I feel, there can be no pattern recognition leading to change, and therefore no shift into a state of being that is characterized by less suffering, maybe more equanimity or peace, which those aren't goals in themselves, but they seem to be side effects. Like, you don't know you're burning. It's like you don't know why your hand is burning at first. You
Yeah,
might
yeah.
not even, you don't even realize your hand is burning. You just don't like how you feel. First, you become aware that your hand is burning. Then you become aware it's because you're on a stove. Then you become aware that you can take your hand off the stove. That's a revelation in itself, that you can even do something different, that there's an alternate path. I thought I just had to be depressed and anxious my whole life. I didn't know, like, I'm just like sitting in the frying pan my whole life. I'd never experienced being outside the frying pan to know that you could have a state of being that wasn't actively sizzling on fire. So, like, it was awareness just to realize I was depressed. Or, like, I didn't truly realize that I had an anxiety disorder until about age 30. Yet I'd been diagnosed with it 15 years earlier. I didn't believe what the doctors were telling me. Um, I knew was anxious about certain things, but to truly even understand what an anxiety disorder is, I had no clue. Even though that was actively my state of being, I didn't know it. How's that? I'm actively living in an anxiety disorder, and yet have no clue what it is, what the patterns are, how it works, that there's an alternative, that there are treatments other than drugs. Like, I knew I was using drugs compulsively. I didn't even realize I was treating a condition. I thought I just liked it. I did, but there's a whole other side. So, like, that's the type of awareness that has to be developed, and it's incremental. I don't think you don't just learn about awareness and then um, suddenly you know everything and it's better. It's like it's an incremental unfolding awareness. It was for me, but once you're aware, you start seeing deeper and deeper layers. So it's like a continually unfolding process of self-discovery. And then at the core, maybe you find out you were who you were the whole time, but like you're also not sitting in a frying pan anymore and your hand's not on the stove anymore. Or if it is, you're aware of it and it doesn't hurt as much.
Only viewers who have themselves experienced witnessing the mind and body can follow the conversation. And Joe says, that was from NS. And Joe says, let's do a show together, Reed.
All right.
That'd be good. I'd like to listen and watch that.
Just a two-person thing?
Yeah, you too. That'd be good.
Yeah, I've got one video on my channel of me in a bathrobe and haven't put anything else up on it yet.
You could have Joe.
In a bathrobe?
Two bros in a bathrobe.
That, there you go.
Two bros, one bathrobe.
Two bros in a robe.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for hanging. This was fun. I feel like we made no progress, which is the point. We got to hurry up and get nowhere, everybody.
Oh.
Love you all. Have a great.
Be aware of where you think you're trying to get. Step one. Become aware that it won't matter when you get there because it doesn't actually have the ability to impact your integral okayness.
And if
Step
you've got
three,
this, if you've got the
act
spirit,
anyway without that extra baggage.
and if you've got the spirit, do the opposite of everything Reed says and report to him how wrong he actually is.
Yeah, go follow the spirit. Go find out what that is.
Okay, love you guys. Please, let's share on the Discord. I don't want to be the only one doing stream of consciousness on there. It's Ronry, you guys.
I can't do it right now. I can't read. I mean, it just burns my eyes.
All right, have a great day, everybody. Bye.